to, like I mentioned earlier, undo the changes that were made to Section 9 retrospectively. So there are three key changes that the amendment does. It very clearly says that no further demands will be made for tax with regard to any offshore transaction which involves substantially the India assets, and it was done before 28th May 2012, which was the date of effectiveness of the retrospective amendment. It then says that if there are any concluded assessments, no demands will be issued and no income will be added on account of those concluded assessments. And it further says that if there are demand notices that have already been issued, those demands will be nullified subject to the relevant entity agreeing to give an undertaking to withdraw all the pending litigation in any parts of the world before any forum, and also agreeing to forego any cost, damages, losses and interest. And it also goes on to say that if any tax was realized by the tax authorities, by the government, that the principal amount realized will be refunded to the relevant entity, but no interest will be paid. From media reports, although it appears that the government is very keen to bring a resolution to the issue and wants it to be done before the year end, there is a looming uncertainty around the fact whether Vodafone and Kane will be willing to come forward and do a settlement with the government for two key reasons. One, they've spent a significant amount of time and effort in litigating in different parts of the world against Government of India, and having been successful in those proceedings, the question is whether they would want to take the government's offer through the amendments proposed by the bill, or would they want to go ahead and try and reap the benefits of what have been granted to them through those awards. Second key factor which leads to the uncertainty is, I think, the provisions of the bill itself. The provision provides for refund of the principal and not the interest. And given that they've already been successful in arbitration award, which is granted refund of, in cases where a tax demand was enforced, not only refund of the tax amount, but also interest and penalties and legal costs. And these costs have been incurred. So the question is whether the relevant entities will be content with the offer made through the bill of just being refunded their principal amount. A question that does arise is that would it not have been more reasonable if in situations where a tax demand was already realized, government had also agreed to give some sort of a nominal interest to make the solution more palatable and get the relevant entities to come forward and be incentivized for a settlement. Consistency and predictability of law, policy and regulation is hallmark of any mature and developed jurisdiction, and is a sign of prevalence of rule of law. And retrospective amendment, I think, was a misadventure which has done more damage to India than it has given benefits. And while there is no denying with the government's assertion that it has a sovereign right to tax, and the fact that amendment has benefited India in terms of taxing any transaction that were taken offshore where the substantial asset was located in India, what was a big question mark is the retrospective amendment. And that really sent a very negative signal amount in India. It got India bad publicity with the subsequent development that took place. It caused uncertainty and confusion in the minds of foreign investors whether India was a good place to do business in India, and hence dissuaded foreign investors from coming to India to do business. As the bill itself recognizes that the foreign investment has a key role in promoting India's economic growth and employment, the hope is that with undoing of the retrospective amendment, the foreign investors will see this as India's graciousness in trying to undo its past mistakes, and also a sign that it will mean more tax certainty going forward. and more capital reforms. With the China Plus narrative playing out in India as well as in the rest of the world, it is important that India makes all the right moves to try and attract maximum amount of that foreign investment in India, which is really a key need in current times, particularly when we are battling COVID.